The Power Play Post Show is on the air, covering minor league hockey since 2003, and now covering the Binghamton Black Bears with news, reactions, and in-depth interviews only heard here. And now, from the Box Studios in Kirkwood, New York, here are your hosts of the Power Play Post Show, Bob Howard and Taylor Welch.
And welcome back, everybody, to another edition of the Power Play Post Show. This is the show for December 28th, 2025. This is season 15, episode number 32, and episode number 546 of the long-running podcast. It is the Power Play Post Show. Hello, everyone. I am Bob Howard, and she is
Taylor Welch.
And welcome back, everybody. Obviously, a good weekend for the Binghamton Black Bears. And we got a lot of that to talk about, but also a good thing for just hockey in general with the ECHL strike is now basically over, as the players have agreed to a tentative deal with the ECHL themselves. So the PHPA needs to ratify it, and of course the league's board of governors needs to also approve what has been done. We know that it's a 5-year deal, and so far that is all we know at the moment. But at least the teams will be back on ice on Wednesday for New Year's Eve. Not that it really matters to any of us down here unless somebody gets called up, because we'll be playing on New Year's Eve as well against Taylor. I can't remember who we playing against.
I think it's the Watertown Wolves again.
Again? Really?
I think so. I think we've got a pretty long stint with them, honestly.
Yeah, no, unfortunately. So I do want to say that I did watch all of the Danbury hat tricks and Port Huron game from today that was supposed to be played on Friday night. My good friend Phil Gibaleo was doing the call in Danbury. He got his start in Danbury with the Danbury Trashers back in the day. AJ Galante actually hired him as a 17-year-old general manager, hired Phil. Phil became one of the best guests I ever had on the Power Play Post Show during the ECHL days, as he was doing the Bridgeport Sound Tigers games, and I got to listen to him. Probably the only time, Taylor, I will ever get a shout out on the Danbury Hat Tricks broadcast, but Phil did do that, and which was so very nice. And it's so amazing too to listen to somebody who's been doing pro hockey, now doing this at the D1 level for Quinnipiac, 25 years of experience, and his fluidity of the game is just amazing. I think any of the young broadcasters that are in this league should really listen to Phil do a game, and they're going to hear excitement even if the other team scores a goal, because, you know, it kind of builds up to, you know, the goal being scored. It was just really good, but I thought it was funny. I got a shout out on a Danbury Hat Tricks broadcast. So, you know, I'll almost check that off the bingo card for 2025 for me.
Well, hey, at least Danbury's got something good going for him, because they lost today, didn't they?
Yes. Oh, yeah. No, Port Huron beat them both games this weekend, Saturday night and on Sunday. They are on a 6-game bender at this point, so they're not doing so well. Obviously, Port Huron has kind of turned it around a little bit since they last faced us. But yeah, the teams below the Binghamton Black Bears in the Empire Division, they're all very competitive with each other, right? And they can get wins against each other. Although Danbury has not won against Port Huron this year and or Binghamton, but below Port Huron, all the other teams have gotten wins against each other, or at least been very competitive with each other. It's just that Port Huron, when they're playing their style of hockey and they're playing well, they can win games.
Yeah, I almost hate to say it, but Danbury just seems like they don't have any kind of energy almost into their games. I mean, at least against us, I didn't watch, their Port Huron series by any means. But it almost seems like facing Watertown, although it's, more games and we do face Watertown more than anybody else, Watertown's at least exciting in the fact that there's a lot of physicality. There's a lot of just energy that it just was so lackluster from the Danbury series, which I would think, I think the fans actually got bored watching the games between Danbury because it was lacking so much. So I wouldn't be surprised if we kind of see Danbury starting to fall And I mean, Watertown, they're not doing hot either, but at least it seems like they're trying to, claw their way and fight their way through. And Danbury doesn't seem like they're trying to do that, in my opinion.
Yeah, 100%. Now, I want to tell all the fans, you should go over to our Facebook page, search on, if you're not a part of the page, it's just go to Facebook and type in Power Play Post Show. Taylor does a great job with the impact players. Now, the impact player sometimes is going to be the number one star, like CJ Stubbs this weekend, who had a phenomenal weekend, 5 goals, 1 assist for 6 points, but he was just outstanding. He's usually the playmaker, and this season he has been more than a playmaker. And, Taylor does a great job. But Taylor, let's talk a little bit about my day after game report, because even though I didn't really talk about the game as much, I talked about something that you and I have talked a little bit off air a couple different times, which is some of the gripes about the Binghamton Black Bears and playing against them is that a lot of teams can't beat them, and that maybe there's an unfair advantage that the Black Bears have that I still haven't put my fingers on what that is yet. I mean, Brant Sherwood has gone out. He's recruited. He uses his network tools to bring in players that he's known in the past and brought them in. Some of these guys are making less money than they could make in the SPHL or the ECHL, but they're coming here to win games. Your thoughts, can you kind of tell the fans your thoughts on this whole concept? Because, you've heard from fans from other, teams. You have heard from off-ice officials from other teams, basically that in some cases they kind of agree with what I'm saying, which is, those teams need to do better, not necessarily bring down the Black Bears.
Yeah, usually the consensus is that Binghamton's playing in a league that they shouldn't be playing in because they're so good. And in all reality, I do think that the Fed has gotten a lot better in the past several years, and the games and the players that are in this league now kind of show for that. But honestly, if you just take a look at what Brant is doing, it's very clear to see that he does things a lot differently than anybody else does. And a clear case in point is if we release somebody, another team's picking that player up because
Right.
they want the Binghamton players. They can sit there and they're going to talk all the smack they want about Binghamton, but if we release their whole roster, every single player is going to be picked up by another team. I guarantee it. Like if Brant was like, we're getting rid of everybody and bringing in a whole new squad, every single player is going to they're going to fight trying to get these players to come on their team. But it's all in the recruiting process, and Brant very clearly knows what he is doing. He has brought guys from the ECHL, the SP, and just a bunch of college guys that he sees them, he watches them, he knows what he's looking for, and he brings these guys in. And you had actually asked him if there was one guy in this league that he would bring in, and he said no. There's not a single player out there on a different team that he would put on this team.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of the huge difference is that a lot of the other teams kind of only fish in the same lake that is the Fed pool instead of branching out and bringing in either these young college guys that have the fire and energy to keep up with, some of the high skilled players or, some ECHL guys that maybe haven't played in a year or a couple years or whatever the case might be, but they have like a Sargis, he said he wasn't ready to play and, we throw him in immediately and he's out there and he might have started off a little bit slow, but now he's starting to make some headway and he's getting points and he's getting some goals. And I think he's going to continue to improve. And you don't see other teams necessarily doing that. And I think that's part of the big problem is that Brant knows how to recruit and, guys want to play in Binghamton and there's a reason for that.
Yeah, and I know fans are probably maybe a little sick and tired of seeing Binghamton play well and beat their team that they follow, whether it's, Danbury, Watertown, or Port Huron, or whoever it might be. It's not like we've played a lot of teams yet this year, Twin City. But what it comes down to is you're going to have to do better than what Brant Sherwood is doing here in Binghamton to beat Binghamton at this point. It's not that, you're going to be able to walk in and, listen, a couple of the things that a couple teams do well to slow down Binghamton, they can't do it for 60 minutes. Like you can plug the lanes for some of the game, you can make Binghamton pay. And this is a key that I've talked about, and I think that you've noticed as well. Unless you get a breakaway, Binghamton makes a mistake, turns over the puck, and you get a straight-on shot on either Dominic Tumay or Connor McAnanama, you're not going to score 5-on-5. At least not the traditional way, where you put the puck into the zone and you cycle it around and you maybe dump and chase and then get yourself, maybe a strong forecheck, and then boom, you get that shot and you score a goal. That's not going to happen against Binghamton. And we saw that this weekend with Watertown. Their goals came off of odd man rushes. They came off of things of that nature. The shorthanded goal, basically a mistake that, Binghamton made while on their power play, and boom, it leads to a shorthanded goal. And that's the only way, because defensively and offensively, they're so good. They don't give you any space to play the game. And that's what other teams are going to have to figure out and do better at themselves. So when they go and they play against Binghamton, it nullifies a little bit. And they haven't been, and let's be honest, fans, I understand your frustration with Binghamton, but your frustration really needs to be with the team that you follow, and you need to ask for them to be better.
Yeah, and another great point. After Saturday's game in Watertown, I heard a couple of their fans talking about how their team has absolutely no chemistry. That there's no gelling on the ice at all with the players that they have on their team.
Sure.
And I understand they had just gotten a couple of new players and they've made a couple of trades fairly recently. But that's one of the awesome things about the players on Binghamton, is that they do gel so well. There is great chemistry that Brant can mix up these lines every game and they're still going to work well together.
Yeah.
And as you made comment, they hadn't even practiced all week. They had the whole week off pretty much. They had a skate or a morning, I don't remember a morning skate.
Yeah, morning skate on Friday before heading up to Watertown.
So you take the whole week off, you spend, Christmas with your family, you probably ate things you shouldn't have. And yet they're still out there and they're still acting as a team. And I think that's something that is lacking in some of the other teams.
Yeah, I think the other thing that is very important, that's in the locker room, there's a sign that says good guys first. That's it. It's really what it comes down to. Brant hasn't just gone and fished and brought in a bunch of big fish and put it into a small pond. He didn't just do that. He's brought in guys that are good players first, or good people first. He wants good character guys in the locker room. Think about the things and the changes that he's made over the years. And Nikita Ivashkin is the prime example. Probably the most skilled offensive player I've seen in this league in 5 years. Okay. And I get it. I know people are going to say, oh no, it's, CJ now, or Ivan Bondarenko. I'm telling you right now, this kid from Russia, Nikita Ivashkin, has all the skill. But when you look at the behind-the-scenes stuff that didn't work, that he wasn't trying to gel with his teammates as much as the team was trying to, gel with him, that's the reason why he went. And that's the reason why he had to go. Because for the longest time, he was the leading goal scorer for the Binghamton Black Bears. He was the leading assist getter. He was the leading point getter for a very long time. And then Tyson took that over. So it's very important to know, good guys first in Binghamton. That's one of the big reasons why they're doing so well. Because, again, if you don't have the good guys first, they don't gel on the ice. Like you said, they do not have that ability to plug Austin Thompson and Kyle Steffen and Gavin Yates together on a line and call that the third line, even though it's a first line anywhere else. So,
yeah, talking about Tyson is honestly a huge and great point to make, because this isn't a single man show. No. That's not something that Coach Brant Sherwood would have somebody on this team that's going to go out there and be selfish on the ice. And we've talked countless times about how Tyson has the ability to take a game, throw it on his shoulders, and get the team the win. But he's not doing that for him. He's doing that for his team. And right. I think that's the biggest difference in the kind of leader and the kind of player that Tyson is that the things that he is doing out there on the ice, they're not for him. They are for the team and the people that he's leading.
Yeah, and I think if at the end of the season, if the results are the same as they were last year, and Brant Sherwood doesn't win Coach of the Year, then there is an ultimate bias in this league and politics that just, Brant will never get past, unfortunately. And it won't matter to him because in a few years when he's not in this league no more, it won't matter. But it would be a crying shame that a guy can go and amass a record like he did with the team that he has kind of created and put together and never get the award for it. It's almost like, where's the integrity in the game when you can't see past whatever bias you have over Brant Sherwood? It's an interesting thing. We'll continue to talk about that in the future. But the Power Play Post Show is available on all major podcast platforms, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Cast, YouTube, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. Just search Power Play Post Show on your favorite app, and don't forget to subscribe. Join the conversation on Facebook. Apparently, I write about Blue Ridge, and a bunch of people from Blue Ridge join, even though they can't really see the post. Search for Power Play Post Show. Become part of our community. Be sure to like, comment, and share our latest episodes with your friends if you can. Looking for everything Binghamton Hockey, visit binghamtonhockey.net, your go-to source for stats, history, and all things Binghamton Hockey. And we don't have really a guest this week or for the wrap-up show. It's just going to be Taylor and I, which is absolutely fine. So let's get right into it. All right, the ECHL and the PHPA struck a tentative deal, which needs to be approved by the Board of Governors, as I said earlier, and ratified by the PHP, the Players Union. The deal is for 5 years, and the players are being told to report Monday so they can prepare for Wednesday's New Year's Eve games. This is so important on many levels, as about half the teams in the ECHL were prepared and already pursuing replacement players for upcoming games in case a deal could not be reached. I had been told, but not which players were being pursued on the Black Bears. And I do not know if those players were going to play if asked. Again, I'm glad it didn't come to that for many reasons. The vitriol hatred for people who cross picket lines by people who are part of unions, even if it's not the same union, is real, folks. It really is. I think it's more important that the players get called up for other reasons like injuries and performance rather than a strike. The strike is over. That is the important thing. The ECHL basically took a weekend off. Their players got an extra part of the holiday break. That's how we all have to look at it. They'll reschedule those 50, I think it was like 56 games between I could be, no, there's no way it was 56 games. It was like 30 games between the 2 days or the weekend. That'll get redone. I'm just glad it's over with because now the SPHL and the FPHL can go about their business without having to worry about, their players being poached.
Yeah, I think what you said about it being important for the players to get called up for different reasons, I think is probably a key reason why I truthfully, in my own opinion, don't think any of the Black Bears would have gone up if they had been called on. Just because I do think it's an important difference between, oh, well, we just need players, so we're just kind of, digging around trying to get anybody to come play, compared to, well, we're down a man, we've seen your numbers, we would like you to come and play and, possibly make a difference in this game.
I would like to say, Taylor, on that note, whether or not I know that Black Bear players wouldn't have gone up during the strike, but I don't know that for sure, because even though there is a stigma that's attached to people who kind of cross the picket lines, I think in some cases, for some people, because everybody's different and everybody has a different mindset, it might be a tantalizing type of thing to go up there and show some ECHL coaches, this is what I can do on the ice. And it might be the look-see that they wouldn't normally get. That's just my opinion. I could be wrong.
I definitely do agree with you there. It's just, I would have hoped that, they'd get called up for different reasons than being that half their team's gone for a strike. But I definitely see your point, and I do think that there are people, whether on Binghamton or any other team for that league, that would probably take the chance just to have, go up and say that they did it.
Yeah.
Not necessarily because of the strike, but just to go up and say that they played for an ECHL team. I could definitely see that happening.
Hey.
But At least we don't have to worry about it now, and it's kind of fixing itself, and we can just move past it at this point.
Yeah, I think the only effect really it had was that there were 4 players that were called up, 2 from Blue Ridge and 2 from Twin City that essentially went to Norfolk, the Norfolk Admirals. They did not play Friday night for their respective teams. So that kind of affected maybe how those teams were, operating, obviously, in the FPHL on Friday night. But I think I saw 3 of the 4 guys got returned on Saturday. So it really was for naught. And I don't hold any hard feelings for those guys for going up and doing that. Again, I'm not in their skates. I can't walk in their shoes or skate in their skates and say that it was the right decision or the wrong decision for them. Taylor, let's get into Friday night's game.
Black Bears win in Watertown on Friday night by the score of 6-3, which is something that we're very familiar with Danbury, unfortunately.
Yeah, exactly. That's crazy. Now we're going to start doing that with Watertown?
I hope not. Well, Saturday night kind of proved that we weren't going to keep doing that, so that's good. December 26, 2025, Watertown Municipal Arena, game 24 of the season, Binghamton Black Bears at Watertown Wolves. The Black Bears score first at the 2:26 mark of the first period, a man-up goal from CJ Stubbs, shocking.
Yeah.
Scoring his 17th goal of the season, while the Wolves' Adam Zimmerman was in the penalty box for holding. Austin D'Orazio scores his 12th goal of the season, also on the power play, his 9th power play goal, also not very shocking, making this a 2-0 game. With 1:15 left to go in the first period, Garrett Sargis scored his 3rd goal of the season to make this a 3-0 lead over the Wolves.
Scratches in the game were Wyatt Freelander, Chicho Laughlin, who's away on personal business right now, Emerson Emery, and Jacob Shankar, who's still on the IR. Starters in for this game was what they have been for the past 4 or 5, maybe 4 or 5 games now. Ivan Bondarenko, Tyson Kirkby, CJ Stubbs, Austin D'Orazio, Dan Stone, and Dominic May. First penalty of the game went to Adam Zimmerman for holding at the 1:34 mark of the first period, which led to a CJ Stubbs man-up goal. Now, that was CJ's 17th goal and his 7th power play goal of the season. I know we've kind of had a little bit of fun talking about it, but seriously, I don't think right now there's anybody that could slow down CJ Stubbs. The only person that probably could would be CJ Stubbs himself.
Yeah, it's crazy to think about after listening to the Brandt interview and him talking about how he didn't really know how to coach CJ because of how good of a player he was.
Yeah.
And then they bring in Coach Q, and then, CJ's having the season that he's having. It's absolutely amazing. And it's, you talk about him, you're like, oh man, he's got, another great point, another, and then he gets a normal goal, and we're like, oh my God, it was just a normal, regular 5-on-5 goal with nothing else happening. It's just shocking at that point.
Taylor,
yeah.
I know we talked about Brandt a little bit in the beginning of the episode. I talked about him, but that was a very vulnerable thing for him to say, right? About CJ Stubbs in the interview with me, which I don't want to overlook that because I think it's very important. He came out and he basically said he didn't know if he knew how to coach CJ because CJ, in his mind, was a better player than he was. Right. And maybe had accomplished a little bit more in his career than Brandt did. I thought that was a vulnerable moment. And I think in the end, it's something that Brandt realizes, and which is probably why all these players play for him. They know that, he's the type of guy that just kind of understands them to the human being type of core of things. And, for him to be able to admit that is something that I think is pretty, pretty good about Brandt Sherwood and himself being able to do that. And probably that's the reason why CJ Stubbs loves to play for him.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Hearing him say that was pretty shocking. Just to, as you said, it was a pretty vulnerable moment to kind of be like, I don't know how to teach this guy. He knows more than me, or he's better than me. Is pretty impressive to hear from somebody who's coaching the team the way that they're playing. And I think that's also part of the really big dynamic this year and the difference between last season and the previous season to this season. Because we constantly talk about, could they possibly be any better than they were last season? And yet, you've got
They are.
Tyson, who was on the bench for quite a few of the games, and you got Coach Q, and you see if you're sitting behind the bench, you see the difference in the dynamics, and Coach Q talking to players, and Brant just watching and focusing on the game, and watching Tyson come in for the huddles and the media timeouts. And you can just see the huge difference that's happening there. And I think there's just such a great respect for everybody on that team that it's undeniable the kind of chemistry there is.
I wonder if this is setting a precedent for SPHL and the FPHL, that if you are, and maybe there are some NHL teams out there, if you're listening to this, you might want to consider this. Maybe this might be the perfect testing ground for a guy that you maybe had play 50 to 100 games in the NHL, but wasn't ever really a mainstay, never stayed up there for a very long time, like Coach Quinville. Right. And you're like, you know what? We want you to go down to the SPHL or the FPHL. We want you to coach. We want to see if you can make the game of hockey a little bit better at that level. And if you can, that shows us that you can coach guys, that you can take guys who have some skill. Listen, let's be honest. If I went on the ice right now with every single guy on the Binghamton Black Bears, I couldn't outshoot them. I couldn't outskate them. Now, of course, I'm 53 years old, so maybe a really dumb statement. But even when I was 24 years old and probably in better physical condition and only, 7 or 8 years away from playing competitive hockey, maybe then, I still could not keep up with these guys of today. Having Coach Quinville in the lineup now, as a coach, as somebody who can kind of help guide these guys and show them this is what we did at the NHL level. You can still do that here at the FPHL level. I think it's the thing that is going to make them better than last year. And I kind of joked at the beginning of the season, there's no way they're going to hit 49 wins again, right? I mean, it's a big thing. I said, maybe they'll hit 45, maybe less than 45, because I thought the league was getting better. And yet at the same time, the Black Bears were getting better than they were last year.
Yeah, it's been unbelievable to see the difference between the seasons as they come. Because you think after the first championship, it's going to, everybody wanted the second one, but it was one of those, it's going to be hard to do it again. Yeah. And then they did it.
Yeah.
And then we're looking at this season and everybody wants that third one. And you're like, it's going to be pretty hard to go out there and get a third one. But as Brant says, they take it game by game, day by day. They just, every day, every practice, something is new. It's a new day. It's a new beginning. You just start from fresh. You figure out what you need to work on and you go from there.
Yeah.
And I think it's been a huge attribute to just not only, Binghamton itself. I mean, they're making literal history here.
Yeah.
But just for the FPHL in general. And it's why it's so confusing that the rest of the league seems to look down on Binghamton or talk smack about Binghamton, but look at what they're doing for the league.
Yeah. Yeah, no, 100%. All right. The Black Bears get 2 power play goals and 2 opportunities and did not give up any chances to the Wolves. Austin DeRazio is starting to cement himself as the best offensive defenseman in the league and is fitting in great on the first power play unit with defenseman partner Dan Stone. Garrett Sargis is starting to get things rolling now, scoring his 3rd goal in the last 2 games, making an impact as we were told he was going to. Power play opportunities, Binghamton was 2 for 2 in the first period, and Watertown didn't have an opportunity at all. Shots on goal, Binghamton 13, Watertown 8. Let's go into the second.
The Black Bears score their 4th goal of the game at the 3:56 mark of the middle period off the stick of CJ Stubbs, his 2nd goal of the game and 18th of the season. CJ Stubbs scored his hat trick goal at the 7:46 mark of the 2nd period, his 19th goal of the season, and his 2nd hat trick of the season. Brett Ritter scored on an odd man rush at the 9:23 mark of the 2nd period, making this a 5-1 game. After the Black Bears challenged and lost the challenge, the Wolves scored their 2nd goal of the game, this time off the power play. On the power play off the stick of Hunter Hall at the 10:44 mark.
Yeah, Stephen Klink actually took the shot, and then Hall actually tapped it in. And what an interesting scenario, because Taylor, that's like foreshadowing to Saturday game where the Black Bears after the Wolves challenged a Black Bears goal, and then the Black Bears scored a power play goal after that. So we saw that happen twice this weekend, which I thought was really interesting because the challenges are making a difference. If you score a goal and the other team thinks it's offsides and they go and they challenge that and they lose it, right now we've seen 2 power play goals off of that just in 2 games, 1 for each side. So it kind of balances out a little bit, I guess, even though it was in 2 different games. But it's making a difference. And I think it's making the FPHL better to be able to have those challenges than to not have them.
Yeah, I definitely do think it is making a difference. And, it's to have the penalty kind of assessed makes it so they're not just, willingly throwing out these challenges, and that you have to kind of make a stance on, are you going to challenge us or are you not going to challenge us? And a couple games ago where Anderson had a goal and they were going to challenge they could have challenged the high sticking incident with Ivan Bondarenko, but there was no need for that. Brandt just decided that it wasn't worth challenging and moved on.
Yeah.
So there are cases where you really have to think about if you're going to challenge something or not, because if not, you're going to sit a man down, and that it could make or break.
Yep. Stubbs is eating up Watertown and Danbury, showing his high skill over the defense, over their defensemen on these 2 teams. Stubbs' goal was just after Dominic Tomei made a great save on the other end. The puck was sent down to Stubbs, and he went 5-hole for the Black Bears' 4th goal of the game. Stubbs now has his 2nd hat trick of the season, the only player to have 2 hatties this season for the Black Bears. The Wolves' goal by Brad Ritter was an odd man rush, which is how you score on the Black Bears at this point. After a failed challenge by the Black Bears on the Wolves' first goal, the Wolves get their 2nd goal on the man up from Hutter Hall. So basically, the Wolves score 2 goals pretty darn quickly there. And it made people kind of wonder. So why challenge the odd man rush goal? Someone on the Black Bears probably saw offsides on the play for the Wolves. Likely the replay showed Ryder was on sides. But the odd man rushes in the scoring, a man up is how you have to score on the Black Bears. You're not going to beat them 5-on-5. Just straight up against the Black Bears. You're just not. I just don't think this season you're going to see more 5-on-5 goals against the Black Bears than power play goals or odd man rush goals, which are still 5-on-5, but you see the difference. If you're in the zone, if you're in your offensive zone, 5-on-5 against the Black Bears and you score a goal, hats off to you. Hats off. I think even Brandt Sherwood would probably say hats off to you if you do that. If you beat us because we were in our offensive zone and we turned the puck over and it's an odd man rush, okay, fine. Okay, you did it. You made us pay on a mistake of our own. But I just think that the teams are going to have to score more on the power play, or they're going to have to score more on those odd man rushes than anything else, because they're just not going to get the room and the space to score 5-on-5.
Yeah, I would love to know the different, how many have actually been odd man rushes compared to just even 5-on-5, actually working the zone and getting in there with your team. Because I imagine there's quite a tremendous difference between how many goals are actually scored that way compared to not. And it would be interesting to know.
And because Brandt Sherwood has talked about it even here on the show, that's what he's looking for. He's looking for how good are they 5-on-5 against other teams? Because in most general games, if you look at the Black Bears, who have the 2nd least amount of penalty minutes this year, he's looking for them to be great 5-on-5, because that's where they're going to score most of their goals, right? Yes, I know they have a lot of power play goals because they're dangerous. If you give them that power play opportunity, they are dangerous. But 5-on-5 is very, very important to Brandt Sherwood and the Black Bears. All right, power play opportunities. Binghamton had none in the 2nd period. Watertown was 1 for 2. Shots on goal, Binghamton 9, Watertown 6. Totals at that point was Binghamton 22, Watertown 14. Let's go into the 3rd period.
With Jake Schultz in the penalty box, the Wolves, Giffen Michigan scores the Wolves' 3rd goal of the game while the Wolves were shorthanded. The Black Bears score their 6th goal of the game after a great pass from Garrett Sargis to Mac Jansen for Jansen's 18th goal of the season at the 7:12 mark of the 3rd period.
Mac Jansen, it's like he's quietly doing this, right? I mean, he is not. No. What I'm saying is he's not flashy at all. He's just a good, quiet Minnesota kid that just knows how to play freaking hockey and score goals. I mean, seriously, at one point, I think either this weekend or last weekend, I looked at Mac Jansen and said, wait, how did he get to 16, 17 goals already?
I mean, it definitely. I feel like we have quite a few people like that on the team. You know, I even think Sirota, while he has his flashy moments in front of the net, maybe when he scores, I don't think there are flashy moments. And so, yeah, I definitely see the point, you know, where you got CJ Stubbs and you're kind of like everybody's waiting for him to score.
Right.
And then you get Jansen, who has scored a ton, but it's like he gets the puck and it's in the back of the net. And you're like, what happened?
Yeah.
Like, what was the sequence that just happened in front of me?
Yeah. The only concerning thing from this game was the 2 goals off the odd man rushes that allowed the Wolves to beat the Black Bears for a 5-on-5 goal and a shorthanded goal, giving up one on the power play I can live with, but the odd man rushes are something that the Black Bears need to work on. Brant Sherwood knows that. He and Coach Q know that. With 21 seconds left to go in the game, this is the part of the game I did not like on Friday night. Austin DeRazio ran hard into the board, skated off the ice with his and right to the locker room. Scott Romakers dropped the gloves with Ian McDonald as he didn't like how D-Raz was dumped into the boards. There was no penalty on the play. Your thoughts? Should there have been?
It's kind of hard to tell. It was an awkward hit to begin with, like the way that he was pushed into the boards.
Yeah.
After talking with Jeremy about it, he's like, it was pretty clear it was a boarding. You know, both their backs are turned. He pushed him into the boards. It could have been a boarding call, plain as day. The way that he hit him into the sides, that's what I was trying to slow down the video enough to see if he was just pushing him with his hands or if he had his stick there and kind of shoved it into his side when he was pushing on him.
Right.
That's the part that I can't quite tell. And that's the part that I was like, you know, when he went down, he tried to get up and he held his side. I was like, that, you know, it was an awkward hit. It was an awkward fall. The whole thing just didn't feel right. Like you know, it's not something you like to see on anybody anyways.
Yeah.
You know, a player skating off the ice with an injury. But it definitely hurt to see it happen to DeRazio after he's been so hot, you know, the entire season since he's been with the Black Bears. I know that everybody felt it and everybody's been worried.
Yeah, I can say that it does look like he is okay. I'm not going to read my next note because obviously that was my thought on Friday night, which was hopefully there would be no injury. Now, of course, he didn't play on Saturday night. Emerson Emery was in the lineup with Chicho away from the team right at the moment. But obviously he needed, you know, the kind of day off. I know he went and was checked out after the game. I was told that they didn't have really the proper type of medical care at the arena to take care of you know, what he was going through. So he did go get checked out at a hospital afterwards. And it does look like now today, from what I'm being told, is that he wants to play on Wednesday, that he's going to be back in the lineup on Wednesday. Now, of course, that's not a decision for D-Raz. That's a decision for basically the Binghamton Black Bears trainer and Brant Sherwood to decide. But at this point, I think we kind of got lucky. And maybe if it's just a bruise or a stinger that was really, really bad, because you can get a stinger and a bruise that, like, can hurt really bad, and then the next day maybe even be even worse, and then starts to get better. So it'll be interesting to see what happens on Wednesday, but it probably looks like he'll likely play.
Yeah, and kudos to Patrick, who is the fan that took D-Raz to the hospital during the game on Friday. I know Brant had reached out and said thank you to him, and, you know, everybody was pretty happy about that.
Yeah.
And that's just one of the nice things about this fan base is they would do pretty much anything for this team if needed. And, you know, it came down to it. He took him to the hospital. He got him there. They did have to, you know, according to Brant, have to force him to go home. So he did not try to come and play on Saturday's game is what it sounded like.
I love that.
And that's just what a hockey player is. I mean, they're injured, it hurt. They're going to want to play. It's just, they love this game so much that I think that's the reason that they forced him to go home. So he wasn't, you know, trying to get out on the ice. But it's awesome to know that it wasn't anything too serious. And hopefully it's just, maybe if he sits out for Wednesday's game, although who knows at this point if he's going to or not. As you said, it's up to the trainer and Brant ultimately. But it sounds like he should be back soon, if anything. So that's great to hear. Especially because, in Saturday's game, we had so many times where I was like, oh man, I wish we had Austin on the team right now. But it's all fun. And, shout out to the fans that got him to the hospital and everything's good and safe. And,
I think this is the proper time to bring in Chris Paulin, because with Austin being out on Saturday and Emerson Emery coming in, this just makes sense that this is the right time to play it.
What's the difference from...
Oh, I played the wrong one. Oh my God. That's horrible. I meant to play this.
Yeah, I think it's nice that they're very fat and happy over there.
So the engineer in me just totally screwed that up, and you get to hear that, folks. That's how it is. All right. Let's just continue. I don't think you can complain anything about the game after the Black Bears haven't practiced or been in the ice together basically since Saturday when they last played. So a small practice Friday morning before heading up to Watertown and then a 6-3 win is a good start to essentially the second half of the season. I totally buy into that. The Black Bears have won 13 in a row after Friday night's game. Power play opportunities, Binghamton 0 for 2 in the third period. Watertown 0 for 1 in the third period. Shots on goal, Binghamton 13, Watertown 7. Totals, Binghamton 35 and Watertown 21. Let's kind of wrap this one up so we can get into Saturday night's game.
Black Bears won in North Country 6-3 over the Wolves. CJ Stubbs scored his 17th, 18th, and 19th goals of the season for his second hat trick. Gavin Yates assisted on 2 goals for a 2-point night. Tyson Kirkby assisted on 2 goals for a 2-point night. Garrett Sargis scored his 3rd goal of the season. Austin DeRazio scored his 12th goal of the season and his 9th power play goal. Mac Jansen scored his 18th goal of the season, assisted on another for a 2-point night. Dominic Tomei saved 18 of 21 shots, winning his 9th game of the season, improving to 9-1-0. The Black Bears winning streak improves to 13 straight. The Black Bears improved to 22-2-0 with 64 points and remain atop of the Empire Division.
When I look at some of those numbers, right, it's like, okay, Dominic Tomei, who is supposed to be the backup goaltender, right, is 9-1-0. That's the first thing. We already talked about it. Mac Jansen's got 18 goals on the season already. But then, hold on. He assisted on another for a 2-point night. I think the only person that didn't get mentioned that usually gets mentioned is Ivan Bondarenko. I think he had like 1 point in the game. He had an assist on one of the goals. But it's just insane that, and I don't mention every single person who gets a point in those little wrap-ups because it would just be crazy, because sometimes it's half the team, sometimes it's more than half the team.
We would spend hours talking about it.
Right, exactly. But it brings me back to, it's like we're only 20 at this point. We were 24 games into the season, and the Saturday game was the 25th game of the season, and some of these guys have, like you were mentioning it, that CJ Stubbs is close to what he did last year, and we're only 25 games in.
Yeah, I think he's like 2 goals away from tying last year's. And he's played in 24 games or 23 games. I don't remember. I think he's played the entire season, right?
Yeah.
So in 24 games, he's got in 2 more goals. So probably the next game or 2 is going to beat his record that he had last season. And he played, I think, 46 games last season.
Yep.
So it's just, he's having an outstanding season so far. And we're not, we're almost halfway through.
Yeah. No kidding. I was trying to get CJ on the show before the season started, and he and I were just kind of crossing our paths. And I do plan on in January having a conversation with CJ, because one of the questions I wanted to ask him is, why are you back? Why did you come back? I want to know that answer. And I believe it's a relationship with, Brant Sherwood, and just, feeling good about himself and probably liking to play here in Binghamton. I'm sure we'll get all those normal answers, but it's amazing because he could retire right now. And he's had a great career with the Rail Yard Dogs, winning a championship there, winning a championship with Binghamton last year. He could easily retire, but for some reason, something is continuing to keep him driving to play. So I hope to, have CJ back on the show sometime in January to have that conversation with him, because I'd be interested to really kind of hear his thoughts on why he's come back, because he's come back and had such a great year. And again, with that being said, same thing with Gavin Yates. I was told he was seriously considering retiring last year after the season was over with. And he's come back and he's been good. And he got his first call up to the ECHL. So again, it is amazing. I believe it's the relationship that they have with obviously Brant Sherwood first and foremost, but it's kind of crazy. And if you think about it, Taylor, Gavin's not even one of Brant's guys. Gavin and Tyson were both here before Brant Sherwood got here. And yet there is a love and a respect between Brant and those two players. And they're the only two players that are here that were here before Brant got here.
Yeah, it's crazy to think about it that way. I mean, so many guys on this team, I think if they were anywhere else, might not even be playing this year if they were somewhere else, or they weren't still on this team, or if they didn't want to come back. And I think it truly does come down to not only just Brant, but Andreas and, the whole Binghamton fan base, truly, because, Kyle Steffen, very clearly, he was like, I'm done. Like, I'm retiring. I'm going to go live my life. I'm going to go explore and go biking and, do all these fun nature things. And then he comes to the arena and he's up talking with Brooks, and then he has a conversation with Andreas, and then he's back. And he does this hard conditioning with Coach Key, which probably would have made anybody else want to quit. But, he worked through it, he made through it, and now he's back. And, these guys are having such a phenomenal season so far. Yeah. It's absolutely crazy to think about it.
All right, Taylor, let's get into Saturday's game. But before we get into Saturday's game, I just want to let everyone know that Taylor and Jeremy were at the game on Saturday in Watertown. She did snap some photographs that we did use in our final game graphic and, of course, the Impact Players Report. You did a great job, Taylor. I think essentially that was the first time you've been kind of published, so to speak, with pictures that you have taken, at least in the hockey world, in the hockey sense. How does that make you feel?
Yeah, I wasn't expecting it. I know that you always take pictures during the games, and you've been disappointed so far this season because you haven't been able to get a lot of the white jerseys.
Right.
So we were in Watertown. When you walk in, you're right there next to the glass. So I was like, we're going to stand down here for the warm-ups anyways. So I was like, I'm just going to take a ton of pictures. I'm going to send them all to Bobby. And if he likes any of them, great. If he doesn't, it's still fine.
Well, what's amazing about it is that you snagged the one of Kyle Steffen. He was a part of your Impact Players Report on Saturday or Sunday morning when you released it, and Connor McAnanama as well, because Connor, I thought, had a really great game. 2 minutes in, there's a tip in, deflection goal for Jake Schultz, who had a very interesting night himself, but he gets the tip in goal. And then after that, Connor basically shut the team down. And you got a great picture of the two of them during warmups together, Kyle and Connor McAnanama, that I was able to use in the graphics. So it was a great job by you. You've expanded a little bit. Now you're a little bit of a photographer, and you've written, and you're on the podcast.
And, we're getting more fans to kind of branch out. I mean, they were there because, their kids had games up there today, but, their fans are starting to branch out some more. We're getting more people up to Watertown, and I think we're getting more people over to Danbury. So it's a lot of fun. Watertown's not that bad. It's definitely not nearly as cold as Danbury. Danbury is absolutely freezing. If you go there, take some gloves, hats, hand warmers, blankets, whatever you need. It's definitely cold in Danbury. You're going to see your breath the entire game. Watertown's not like that. Watertown's very small though.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people were like, it's really small in here. The kids that were sitting behind us couldn't get over how small it was. Their first comment when they sat down was they could not believe they didn't have a Jumbotron. And I thought that was hysterical. And it just kind of goes to show you that we're pretty spoiled here in Binghamton. But the kids couldn't believe they didn't have a Jumbotron.
That's funny. Hey, listen, I want to tell a funny story that Gary Ryan told me. Basically, he was listening to Will Wiggleman today as Will was calling the game for the Port Huron Prowlers against the Danbury Hat-Tricks. And speaking of how cold it is in Danbury, Will says on the broadcast, or at least he told Gary this privately, and I hope it's okay to share this one, they saw a bird in the arena. Okay. Or in the Danbury Ice Arena, there was a bird in there. And Will says basically, listen, if that bird's coming in here to get out of the cold, he came into the wrong building. Which is funny as can be. I sent a message to Will and basically said the bird would probably be better luck going to Port Huron because the city of Port Huron is probably warmer than what it is in the Danbury Ice Arena.
Yeah, it's no joke, and it's all part of Danbury's mind game to kind of get into the opposing team's head. But it's definitely it's so cold in there for whatever reason. But the people that came up, Kelly, she had never been to Watertown before.
Right.
She stopped and talked to me for a little bit, and she's like, "It's not that bad in here." And I was like, "Yeah, Watertown, it's not really the atmosphere isn't much different than ours as far as like temperature wise." But it's still a hockey arena, so dress appropriately is all I can say.
That is very, very true. All right, let's get into Saturday night's game.
Black Bears take 15th straight game versus the Wolves, 6-1. December 27th, 2025, Watertown Municipal Arena, game 25 of the season, Binghamton Black Bears at Watertown Wolves. The first period, Jake Schultz, the former Black Bear captain, gets the Wolves on the score sheet first early in the game at the 1:44 mark after he tipped the puck in out of midair. The Black Bears get their first goal of the game on a partial breakaway from Zach Sirota, who sent the puck past Brendan Colgan just below his glove, scoring his sixth goal of the season at the 7:26 mark of the first period. With 4:25 left to go in the period, Austin Thompson on another Black Bears breakaway comes in and shoots top shelf to score his 14th goal of the season, giving the Black Bears a 2-1 lead.
Yeah, we did see that a little bit more for the Black Bears on Saturday night where they were getting the odd man rush. And it was nice to see both Zach Sirota and Austin Thompson kind of get goals on that to kind of, even that out a little bit because it happened to the Black Bears a little bit on Friday night. And then on Saturday night, you got to see it there with Austin and Zach Sirota.
Yeah, when they got their first goal, it was fairly early into the game. It definitely gave the fans some hope. The announcer kept coming on to say, hey, look at that scoreboard. And that's kind of the running joke for the rest of the game is what the Binghamton fans were kind of saying back after they got that first goal, because it seemed like every goal after that we're like, hey, remember that scoreboard? And it is kind of the running theme for the night so far.
Well, the hype guy the hype guy up there does that a lot. He gets involved in the game in that kind of sense. He kind of plays with the opposing teams a little bit and tries to keep the Wolves kind of like happy and going into it.
Yeah, he's a lot of fun. He definitely he works both sides of the arena, which it's pretty cool to see. He definitely the funniest part that he did in Saturday night's game was he came over and he was talking to a bunch of our fans. And he was like, he started off pretty calmly and he's like, have you guys ever had smash burgers? And a lot of people were like, yeah, they've had smash burgers. And he goes, they're really good when they're made out of bear meat. And I thought that was so funny. And I was losing it because it's pretty comical to have that happen. It just seemed like it was just a regular conversation and he brought that in. So, I mean, I give him props for that. That was a good one. Yeah. But when Zach Sirota scored, I was like, it's going to be over after this. That was my own opinion was, Zach Sirota scoring, you're done for.
Yeah, no. And it's not because Zach doesn't score a lot, but when Zach scores, the team usually wins. Scratches in the game, White Freelander, Austin Durazio, which we all expected. Jacob Shankar and Chicho Lathan was still away from the team. Starters, Ivan Bondarenko, Tyson Kirkby, CJ Stubbs, Dan Weber, Dan Stone. So basically Dan Weber. And that's kind of been the norm, right? When Austin hasn't been able to play or there's been a change in the lineup, it's been Dan Weber that's played with Dan Stone. So Dan Stone has really only seen, honestly, I think maybe only 3 players play next to him. I think Chicho Lathan did it once, and then of course it's been Dan Weber and Austin Durazio, and I'm okay with that, right? You give Dan Stone as much stability as he wants because it's only going to make your team better because he is still the anchor of the defense. No matter what Austin Durazio does, Dan Stone is still the leader of that defense, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think honestly, if you can put somebody that can skate faster than Stone with Stone, they're unstoppable no matter what.
Yeah. Let's see here. So it was Dan Weber, Dan Stone, and Connor McAnanama got the start. It's only happened a couple times this season that teams have gotten an early lead on the Black Bears. The Schultz tip-in goal was a good start for the Wolves, their best start against the Black Bears in a while. The Black Bears get their own breakaway, and Zach Sorota took advantage of the play and scores on a veteran netminder with ease, because it really was. It did really seem like he shot on ease. On the third line, Austin Thompson gets his 14th goal of the season. The Black Bears on the Black Bears' second breakaway chance, and you could see Brendan Colgan was frustrated after the goal. I think I want to say he punched the ice or he slammed his mitt down or something like that, and that's not good if the Black Bears have scored 2 goals on you and your goaltender's already frustrated.
I was very shocked to see that they started Colgan for both games, in my own opinion. I definitely thought
Matt Lenz
that
was
they
going to get
weren't.
one.
Yeah, I definitely thought they were going to play Lenz one of those games. And I mean, you even talked about him for the preview for the game, was that was your highlight goalie was Lenz. So I was very shocked to see they didn't play him. But yeah, you can definitely, Colgan seems like he's got a hot head when at certain points, and that showed, a little bit later on in the second period. But he has his moments where I think he could still be a great goalie, and then he's got moments where you're like, that's you're kind of letting the emotions get to you a little bit, and that's not ever great for a goalie.
I'll let you read the next note because basically you confirmed it for me.
Near the end of the period, it appeared that Dan Weber, trying to clear the puck out of the defensive zone, hit a Wolves player in the face with the puck. The player skated off the ice immediately, and I did confirm that it was Stephen Klink, and he did not return for the rest of the game. I watched it back a couple of times, and it's pretty hard to see like where the puck actually is. Because at first we were like, oh, maybe he got hit in the chest.
Sure.
But based off of what I was seeing, it definitely looked like it hit him in the face. And then some of the other fans had said that he said he was done for the game. He landed funny on his shoulder or something. And he wasn't coming back in. He's staying out.
And that's pretty impactful for the Wolves, because no matter if you like Stephen Klink or not, he's, in my opinion, their best offensive player on the team this season. And he's got offensive skill. And if he's not out there for you, you don't have much, unfortunately.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, you heard me, I think early in the first period, I had said something about don't let Klink get the puck, because they were in the zone and they were trying to make a pass over to him. And I was like, don't let him have it. And, that's just, Klink is a very good player. So it definitely, I think it made a huge impact to the Wolves game that he wasn't able to continue on after that.
No penalties in the first period. After the first goal from Schultz, the Black Bears seemed to control the majority of the period, only allowing 4 more shots in the period as Schultz scored on the first shot of the game. Power play opportunities, there was none. Shots on goal, Binghamton 17, Watertown 5. And it was kind of lopsided this whole game when it came to the shots on goal. Let's do the second period.
The Black Bears get their third goal of the game off the stick of CJ Stubbs, who scored his 20th goal of the season, 4th of the weekend, at the 3:03 mark of the middle period. The Black Bears take a 3-goal lead off Kyle Steffen's third goal of the season as he sent a snipe past Colgan at the 6:35 mark of the second period.
CJ Stubbs scored a boring, even strength 5-on-5 goal. However, he scores his 20th goal of the season, first Black Bear to do that this season. And yes, we are laughing because it's funny, because there's usually some sort of extra special tag attached to CJ Stubbs' goals. Kyle Steffen had turned the puck over about 10 seconds before the puck was up back on his stick and was able to send a beauty of a shot past Colgan for his third of the season. Since the Wolves' only goal of the game was at the 144 mark of the first period, the Black Bears have rattled off 4 unanswered goals to take a 3-goal lead. The first set of penalties didn't happen into the final moments of the second period, where at the 17:51 mark, Ryan Gill gets tagged for holding, then roughing, because he was holding a player down, and then he just starts pounding on the guy while the guy was down on the ice. But then the Wolves also get a bench minor for unsportsmanlike conduct, because they probably told the referee to F off, especially given the Black Bears a 5-on-3. So how does this work? Because a lot of people were kind of confused about this. When you have a player get 2 penalties, it's a 4-minute basically scenario. So he's in there for 2 minutes for the first penalty and then the second penalty. So he's in there 2 minutes for holding and 2 minutes for roughing. Then you go on 5-on-3 for at least 2 minutes because of the bench minor for unsportsmanlike conduct. However, that is all just one opportunity. That's one power play opportunity. But then at the 1917 mark, Black Bears get their first penalty as Connor McAnanama gets tagged for roughing as he came out of the goal crease to play the puck and may have engaged way too much with the Wolves player. What did you see when it came to Connor McAnanama coming out to play the puck, which he does very often? He's very good at it. But this time it meant he got engaged with a Wolves player and got tagged for roughing.
Yeah, you see McAnanama come out all the time to play the puck, especially when we're on a power play. He likes to send the puck up to the guy at the blue line, try to get them into the zone, especially if the opposing team is going for a line change. At this particular one, you can kind of see him hesitate for a second because he starts to come, but then Papatreas, I don't remember how to say his name. I'm going to butcher it every time.
Papatreas?
Yeah, he was kind of a pest the entire game, and I think everybody was kind of having a rough go with him. And he hesitated at first, but then you had him, and I don't remember who else was coming in. One of the Black Bear players was coming in as well. So he kind of made the split decision to get up there and play the puck, and in so made contact with number 88 and kind of gave him an extra shove for good measure, which I think everybody, at least a Black Bear fan, was very excited for.
Yeah.
I know after that there was some CMAC chants going on. The Ryan Gill one was interesting. I thought more was going to happen from that because, the player that he had on the ice was Sirota.
Oh, was.
And
okay.
Sargis was skating towards the bench anyways. So I was kind of hoping like Sargis saw all of that happening and kind of just went in. And I'm really waiting for Sargis to really light somebody up. And I'm so like, even though Brant said he doesn't really fight, everybody sees the way that Sargis is built. And I even told Jeremy, I was like, we were watching him skate.
Yeah.
They were going for a face-off, and I was like, he puts no effort into skating. You just watch him, and he's like hardly moving, and he's just skating along the ice. And it's just, it's one of those things where not a lot of people can do that. Like there are guys that put a ton of effort into making sure that they're skating faster than anybody else.
Yeah.
And that's not Sargis. He knows where he is on the ice. He plants himself, and he's gonna make sure he ends up with the puck on his stick. But yeah, when that happened to Sirota, because Sirota takes a beating all the time. But when he took the holding call and then just kept going is when I thought at that moment that the game was going to get a lot more intense and, there was going to be a fight breaking out or something was going to happen.
But it really didn't,
especially because I know, and that's after the game, we had said something to Stubbs. Well, Jeremy had said something to Stubbs. He's like, I really wish you dropped the gloves. And, I made the comment, Stubbs didn't need to because he's got 85 points in the weekend, which was obviously it's a blown out number, but it's Stubbs and he has so many points in the season. He kind of laughed at that. Yeah. And Jeremy was like, you could have had, the Gordie Howe. And he goes, oh, I didn't think of that. He goes, you're right. I should have dropped the gloves. So it was one of those moments where he was like, I thought about it and just didn't. He goes, I probably should have. So it was a funny moment after the game, but yeah, it was just, I was able to kind of pick on CJ for the amount of points that he had. Because let's be honest, he's just been unstoppable the last, I don't even know how many games.
Yeah, no, it's
I think there's one game he's had no points. The entire season.
The entire season, yeah. Because he's on a 16 game point streak at this point. I don't know. I wrote about it and posted it, I think at some point. He's just been unstoppable. And it's just kind of funny that you said 85 points in this weekend and he laughed about that. Because it's listen, you're doing the show now and you're noticing these things and it's great when they can get that interaction with you on that. I will say this about, this is where the discipline of this team has been so amazing, right? Because you're right. CJ Stubbs, he could have dropped the gloves and gotten the Gordie Howe hat trick. Sargis could have turned around and just leveled the guy, right? Leveled Gill for what he was doing to Sirota and be the big brother and kind of come in and go, don't do that to my little brother type of thing, right? And yet these players have been so disciplined, and that put us on a 5-on-3. And then Connor, I know people are going to be like, well, but then Connor goes out and gets the roughing call, right? But it didn't hurt the team at all. It didn't hurt the Black Bears for him to go out there and show a little, hey, don't F with us. I almost said it, but don't F with us. You know, and he took a guy to the ground. And I think he did it at the right time. If your goaltender is going to commit a penalty, that was at the absolute 100% perfect time to do it. And, you know, I kind of wish he did it at home. I wish that was kind of like that game was played in Binghamton and the fans in Binghamton got to see that. Because that's just Connor. Connor's like, listen, you're going to take liberties with us? This is not going to hurt us at all for us to go 4-on-4 against you guys or 4-on-3, right? That type of thing. Boom. He knocks the guy down to the ice. I thought it was the right time, right place for that. And good on Connor. He knows his hockey. He's smart. He knows when he can do things, and he knows when he shouldn't do things. And that's a product of the way he's been coached, been trained over the years, and maybe even a conversation or two with his dad. I'll say that.
The most comical part about all of that happening was when Colgan had skated out of his crease and towards the blue line, and the refs kind of stepped in to make sure he didn't actually cross that line.
Right.
And I look over, and Connor is just one arm up on the net and just relaxed and no cares at all.
No.
And the Watertown Wolves bench are chirping him, and he's looking at them, and I'm pretty sure he was saying stuff back, but I can't hear him because he's on the other end of the ice.
Yeah.
But it was so comical to like watch all of that unfold and just to look over and see Connor just so calm and just like there's no care. Like he did what he did, and he's just as relaxed as can be. And that's at that point I had said, I hope he shuts them out for the rest of the game.
And he did.
Just to shut up the bench.
Yeah.
And he did.
And he did. You know, I will say this. You can chirp our goaltenders all day long if you want, but you're not beating them. You're not beating them. You're not beating them on the ice. You're not beating them when it's 5-on-5. You're barely beating them when it's on the penalty, when you're on the power play, because we've only given up 12 power play goals in 20-some games. Most teams can't even say they have that kind of average, right? We're at 90% kill rate every single, you know, or at least for this season. You can chirp him all you want. He's looking up at the scoreboard. He sees what's happening in the standings. He doesn't need to engage with you guys. And then when he does, it's at the right, perfect time. The kid knows what he's doing. And he probably should get a call up to the ECHL someday.
Yeah, I definitely think that everybody's in agreement on that. Although nobody, you know, at that point, nobody's going to want him to leave because, it's CMAC. And
No, absolutely not. I agree.
You want it, but you don't want it. It's a very rough line to sit on because you're like, you'd be so excited for him, but then you're like, oh no.
Yep. Power play opportunities for the second period. Binghamton's 0 for 1. Watertown was 0 for 0. No opportunity for them. Shots on goal. Binghamton 13. Watertown 8. Binghamton had 30 shots on goal after 40 minutes, and Watertown had 13. Let's finish it with the third period.
With the Wolves' Ryan Gill still serving his 4 minutes from the second period, the Black Bears scored near the end of the second period. CJ Stubbs makes him pay with his 21st goal of the season and his 8th on the man advantage, just 1:25 into the final period. After the Wolves challenged the goal and lost the challenge, the Black Bears were back on the power play and scored their second straight power play goal off the stick of Mac Jansen at the 2:11 mark of the final period.
Yeah, and there's that scenario I was talking about. It happened in the Wolves' favor on Friday night, and then that happened on the Bears, in the Black Bears' favor on Saturday night. Very interesting. Listen, this is the first year that, the teams have been able to challenge certain things, and it went against the two teams that made the challenge and was, really effective for the teams that, one, was on the other side of that. But Let's see here. Third period notes. What a sequence at the beginning of the third period. The 4 minutes that Gill took turned into 2 opportunities for the Black Bears, with CJ Stubbs scoring his 8th power play goal of the season. Then the Wolves challenged the play, lost the challenge, and the Black Bears get another power play goal from Mac Jansen. Jansen now has 19 goals, 7 of them on the power play. Maybe not the most impressive like CJ Stubbs, but pretty darn impressive. The Black Bears' first penalty kill of the game didn't come until the 10-11 mark of the third period, as Dan Stone took a hooking call. Dan, come on, what are you doing? You're better than that, Dan. Hooking, come on. After the Schultz tip-in goal, the Black Bears scored 6 straight unanswered goals. The Wolves were outmatched. This is the 15th straight win for the Black Bears over the Wolves. The last loss to the Wolves was on 10/12, my birthday. Banner-raising night ceremony at the arena by the score of 5-3. I knew that was going to come back to haunt me again. So I'm just saying.
Yeah, I was going to make the comment that you just can't let that go, can't you?
No, but now it's an important stat, right? Because they've won 15 straight over the Wolves, and it goes all the way back to that date. So
that one loss, man. That one loss.
That one damn loss. The Black Bears, I don't know if I'm more hurt that they did it on banner raising night or if that it was my birthday. I'm not really sure.
I think banner raising night, honestly. I think that gets you more than
than it was on my birthday. Oh, it's true. It's true. That's so funny. The Black Bears win streak improves to 14. Last season, they won 18 in a row before losing to the Blue Ridge Bobcats on a Saturday night down in Blue Ridge. CMAC was excellent on Saturday night. Basically a shutout, if not for the tip-in goal. 12 wins on the season is the best in the FPHL. Reed Cooper also has 12, and Reed Cooper did not play today on Sunday, so they're both tied at 12 wins apiece. And you know what, Taylor? I'm not surprised that Reed Cooper, who has been the workhorse for the Prowlers, has the same amount of wins as CMAC. Now, first of all, CMAC is splitting, obviously, a little bit more this year with Dominic Tomei, but Reed Cooper is a good goaltender. We've seen him have good games even against the Black Bears.
Yeah, that is true. I do think he is a good goalie, but on the opposite end of that, it seems like if he has a bad night,
it's really bad.
It's not good. Yeah, like, as far as, if our goaltendings are having a bad night, we're still coming out with a win 98% of the time.
Yeah, well.
We've had, very few losses this year.
2. Just 2.
So I think even on our worst night, it's still not that bad. Where, we've kind of made other goalies look either really good because they've stopped 56 of 58 shots or, however many shots the Black Bears can put out, or we make them look really bad and they've let in 8 or 9 goals on, 40 shots. So it seems like it's very one or the other. And I think that's kind of the big difference between some of the other goaltenders in the league is I think they are great compared to some other teams and, they have good numbers, but to be consistently great all the time, I think is hard.
Yeah, 100%. And I can think of in the 61 wins that Connor McAnanama has had, I can only remember one bad game that he's had in 61 wins, which is like, I think he's played in like 63 or 64 games, whatever it is total, right? That he's started. And no, I'm wrong. 72 starts or 73 starts, 61 wins. He's only had one bad game. In my opinion, one outright bad game, and that was Port Huron when he lost 8-6. And he took all 8 goals. And, of course, you can go out and say, oh, well, the team was bad as well. Yes, everybody had a bad night that night. But that's it. That's the only one. It's the only one that I can come up with that I can say that Connor had a really bad night. Because when Connor gives up 1 or 2 or maybe even 3 goals, the rest of the game, he's making saves that most goalies wouldn't be making when they've already given up 1 or 2 maybe bad goals. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, to kind of, if you're looking at his entire record with the Black Bears and you can only find one game where it was bad.
Yeah.
I listen, that's like unheard of, I think, for anybody.
Right.
And, I there was a comment made that like after the Wolves got their first goal, they were like, "Oh, here we go!" Like the Wolves fans, they were excited, and good for them. You get the first goal of the game, and usually that's like it's a good sign, especially if you get one early on. But then Connor has this way of he pretty much stonewalled them the rest of the game, and the Black Bears, they didn't get them a lot of shots, and they're very much limiting the amount of time that people have a chance to get to our netminder. And I think that's why a lot of our goals are on the breakaways, because the Black Bears are just not letting it happen otherwise.
Yeah. 100%. All right. To end the third period, power play opportunities, Binghamton was 2 for 4, Watertown 0 for 1, shots on goal, Binghamton 12, Watertown 5, and then Binghamton 42 as a final, and Watertown 18. Taylor, let's wrap this one up with a bow, being that it's Christmas time, and then we'll talk about what's coming up next for the Black Bears.
Black Bears win their 14th game in a row, win in Watertown 6-1. CJ Stubbs scored 2 goals, his 20th and 21st goals, and assisted on another for a 3-point night. Gavin Yates assisted on 1 goal. Mac Jansen scored his 19th goal of the season, which was his 7th power play goal. Zach Sirota scored his 6th goal of the season. Austin Thompson scored his 14th goal of the season. Kyle Steffen scored his 3rd goal of the season. Connor McAnanama won his 12th game of the season, saving 17 of 18 shots and improving to 12-1-0. The Black Bears winning streak improves to 14 straight. The Black Bears improved to 23-2-0 with 67 points and remain atop of the Empire Division. And because you kind of brought it up and mentioned to put a bow on this Christmas time, I think it is only fair to say something about how have you never watched the movie Elf?
Well, really, come on. Does this need to be brought up right now? I don't think this needs to be brought up. This is a slam job by yourself and Rick Weber and of course Stephen McAnanama to try to defame my good name. Yes, I have never watched Elf.
I don't know. That's surprising. It's my mother's favorite movie. She's watched it probably 100 times in the last month and a half. But I'm not going to mention which one said something to me unless they already told you. But I did have somebody reach out to me, and I was going to bring it up on the show, and they actually told me not to, that I could just message you about it. So this is all on me. This is not on them. But you led me into it. You brought up Christmas and tying it with a bow. So I thought it was a perfect opportunity.
Fair enough.
But speaking of perfect opportunities, after the game, as we were waiting outside and kind of chit-chatting with some of the players or waiting for the players to come by to go to the bus, Katie and Miguel were there, and we got talking, and they absolutely loved the salary cap graphic, and they said that it should be put on a shirt and sold.
Oh, wow. That would be awesome. Yes, that should be put on a shirt and sold. And basically what she's talking about is from this audio.
They found a way to fit all those guys in the salary cap, which I'm impressed with. It's a great job by them.
And Taylor took a bunch of pictures that I took of the players, put it into an upside-down salary cap that Brant Sherwood is holding up. And when the Port Huron Prowlers do come back to the arena, you will probably see a poster of sorts with that graphic on there. And Katie Miguel, that's awesome. Maybe we should hook up with the Binghamton Black Bears. If the Black Bears are listening, let's get together. Let's print out some T-shirts, get that set up, and let fans be able to sell that. And maybe we can have a little bit of fun at Chris Pollin's expense and make some money. Hey, why not? Everybody wants to make a little bit of money, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great idea, and it was pretty funny the way they talked about it.
Yeah,
they love that, and the fat and happy. They constantly think it's hysterical that we bring it up in the show. So that's awesome to hear that the fans are actually enjoying that we're talking about this, because we obviously think it's hysterical.
Yes,
and we use it a lot.
Yeah,
but it's so funny and so comical.
Wow, that's awesome. Katie Miguel, you're one of two of our favorite people who listen to the show, and we thank you very much. The Black Bears and the Wolves will meet 3 more times this upcoming week. / weekend, I guess. Wednesday at 5 p.m. on New Year's Eve at the arena. Then 2 more games up in Watertown on Friday and Saturday. Now, remember, Wednesday's game is a 5 p.m. start time. So you need to go in, tell your bosses, I am leaving at 4:30 to go to the Binghamton Black Bears games. Do not say that Bob from the Power Play Post Show has given you permission to leave. Just leave at 4:30 and go to the game, because we want you there at the game. Everybody wants you there at the game, and it's always a great game. I think last year's New Year's Eve game was a sellout. But if that game starts at 5 o'clock, everybody should be out of there by 7:30, maybe almost 8 o'clock, and you will be able to go and enjoy your festivities. Now, Taylor, let me ask you, what is usually the tradition for you on New Year's Eve?
It ranges from year to year. So it used to be like the last couple of years before I got into hockey, I would go to my aunt's house and I would actually leave well before midnight and just go home and go to bed like a normal human being. Like my social battery would run out real quick. Every once in a while, if we're playing card games and that kind of stuff, it would keep me much more entertained. But if we're just kind of hanging around and talking about the same stories, yeah, I would. I don't even say bye. Like, I tell my mom, like, hey, I'm leaving. And then I leave. I don't say bye to anybody else. I just dip out. And then like 8 hours later, people are like, where's Taylor? That's my party thing, is I leave without anybody noticing. Now that I have a daughter, it's a lot different. She likes to stay up for certain things. And if she's around my family, she loves everybody. So it's very hard to get her to leave. So she kind of forces me to stay out.
Gotcha. Yeah.
We did miss last year's. We weren't able to go to the game because he got out of work so late. But usually it's just we go and play a lot of card games and just kind of hang out until everybody leaves.
Gotcha. Fair enough. I'm usually just watching the stupid shows at the end of the night with my wife, and I'm usually asleep by 10 after 12. It's pretty simple for me. I haven't done the party scene, haven't gone out to bars or anything like that, or gone to anyone's New Year's Eve parties in a long time. Yes, I'm an old, boring old man at this point, but I prefer to just stay up with my wife, ball drops, watch a couple more minutes, maybe another performance, because I do like watching the musical performances. Watching all these pop stars lip sync on New Year's Eve is hilarious to me, and I usually go through lip sync, singing for real, because it's usually a country band that will sing for real. Lip sync, rock band, they'll sing for real, and then lip sync, which is usually all the pop stars, because none of them can apparently sing and sound like how it is on the record. But that's another story for another time and another conversation. Again, 5 p.m. start time on Wednesday, and then the Friday and Saturday games are both 7:30 p.m. up in Watertown. Now, do you think you'll be going to either one of those two games up in Watertown?
Weather permitting and Jeremy's schedule permitting, I think so, because he actually thought it was home and home.
No,
and he's like,
no.
I didn't realize that both games were in Watertown. And I was like, well, if you'd asked, I could have told you.
Yeah.
So we've only been talking about it for weeks now. But yeah, so I think most definitely probably Saturday at the very least, unless something else happens. But hopefully we can get up there for both. If not, probably just Saturday.
Make sure your camera gets has some open space on it so you can take some more pictures. All right. The Power Play Post Show is available on all major podcast platforms, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Cast, YouTube, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. Just search Power Play Post Show on your favorite app, and don't forget to subscribe. Join the conversation on Facebook. Everybody from Blue Ridge is. Search the Power Play Post Show and become part of our community. Looking for everything Binghamton Hockey, visit binghamtonhockey.net. Thank you to Rob Lapolis, our MC, John Petitucci, our musical director, Taylor Welch, who's now been upgraded to photographer as well. I am Bob Howard. She is
Taylor Welch.
And we'll talk to you next time right here on the Power Play Post Show.
Thanks for listening to this edition of the Power Play Post Show. Be sure to tune in next week to the Box Studios Radio Network for all the latest Black Bears news and interviews from around minor league hockey. The Power Play Post Show would like to thank John Patitucci for all the music you hear on the show. You've been listening to the Power Play Post Show.